Hey, what's up, traders? Tom Willard Trading. Welcome to another video. Coming right back at you next week. I did one week ago. Got some things happening. Some great. This is actually an exciting time. We got some really good stuff coming up. I got some great ideas for you today. So let's get right to it. QQQ, NASDAQ, ETF, weekly chart upper right, daily chart upper left, 60 to the lower left, and the 15-minute chart to the lower right. Again, mostly I talk about swing trades. You can day trade these as well. As you guys know, if you've been around, day trade and swing trade relentlessly myself. So these ideas will transfer. Now, this QQQ, you'll see here on the weekly chart, really, kind of getting up to a bird's eye view. We've had a big move off the low, and you can see that really throughout this entire move since late March, we haven't had any real retracements, right? Nothing at all. Just a couple of red bars that were ignored and no follow through, bottoming tails, continue to trudge out higher. Now we get this bigger wide range candle here, okay, which could indicate a top. You can see the volume did pick up. Okay, and we're getting actually getting our first significant pullback off this high. And if we X-ray down to the daily chart on the left, you'll see it here. You've got this hanging man, which I talked about actually a few videos ago, and it came down nicely. Tried to go higher, stopped out. Tried to go higher, stopped out. So twice double tapped out here. Third tap could be a charm. Swing trade. I initiated a swing trade on the Qs here on the long side in the high 260s. With a stop right under the lows here. You can see it retested here where my pointer is, held the area. So I think that's really your line in the sand with regards to a stop. Okay, so nibbling in here, swing long on the Qs to go back up to these previous highs around $300. This first retracement off this move could definitely be buyable, or it is buyable for me. But of course, I'm taking my stops, and I got stopped out of a few positions this last week. I tweeted about it, and we'll talk about those too because they were in the last video or the previous video. And ideas, you just got to take your stops, man. You just get the hell out of Dodge if your stop gets hit. Don't ask any questions. Get back in. What's a commission nowadays? 0 in most cases. So why not just get out and get back in, reassess from the sidelines. So Qs, I'm in swing long here in the high 260s. Stop right under 260. 259, 258. You'll see to the left here we've got support in this area. So it could breach it, but if it breaches it again, I don't ask any questions. I get out and I might buy back in at 255. I may buy it back at 275, depending on what happens. You got to let the candles get laid out before you. Right now, based on this information, I think we're swing long here, and I entered toward the end of the last week to the swing long side with a stop and a low. So looks like we're going to go higher, but again, remember this big bar. Typically, this can indicate a top. Where we come back here, really we haven't even triggered a long on the weekly chart, right? So I'm jumping the gun here by using the daily chart. The weekly chart really hasn't triggered as a long, but basically if it gets above last week's high, which is about 272 maybe, let's see what that looks like here. Let me pull that up real quick. 273.08 is the high from last week. So if it gets above that, then technically you have a setup, but I front ran it a little bit. So Q's long. SPY, you look here at the weekly chart, we had a little bit more struggle, not much though, right, on this move up. Now we got the same wide range weekly bar here, pulling back. You got a double, triple tap here. You got came, try to trigger, stop, try to trigger again, stop, try to trigger, stop. 3 times on the SPYs. So definitely a little bit more weakness on the SPYs. I am not swing long in this one, okay? I feel like this one is a little bit less attractive to me right now. Got wide range bars. Obviously, you can see it kissing off the rising 20 here, which is a good thing. You've got it rolled over here of the 50 period moving average. So it indicates that we want to try to go higher. Again, it's been a long move. First significant retracement. Can look to buy this. I'm not in it yet, but I'm watching it. Okay. So SPYs here looking like it wants to go higher as well, but a little bit more sloppy. And again, I'm not in this yet. I'm waiting for more confirmation. But long side is definitely the lean right now. But take the shorts, or I'm sorry, take the stops, not the shorts. Take the stops if and when they get hit, and no questions asked. Okay, KTOS. Let's talk about this one. This is one I got stopped out of. Talked about in the last few videos. This beautiful setup here. It broke out right here. Okay, buyable point right there at $20 a share. Came up. Stop was right under 19, 18, high 18s. It hit it right here. I'm out. And now what happened? It came down. It actually bottoming tailed out. Took out all this area here. It didn't take out this low. So held this low here on the weekly, right here on the daily. And it's back hanging out here at the 19 mark. It gapped up, but it held. So I'm watching to re-enter this. A lot of times you'll get that. You get a breakout, a shakeout, and then it'll go. overall, I still like the way the weekly looks. I like the shakeout here. But again, you got to let this kind of play out here and also see what the market is. The market could collapse this week. I mean, we got the debate this week. Who knows? It could completely collapse. So you got to have your stops. So I'm watching this for possible re-entry if it can break above this high from last week, these last 4 days. I'm sorry, around 1960, 1970 a share. I may re-enter with a stop under the bottoming tail here. Okay, so considering it, but this is an example where I got stopped out, and it's fine. You get stopped out, move on. Not a big deal. Okay? All right, here's another one I got stopped out. If I talked about this lift is beautiful at $31 a share off this gap down, or this big green bar engulfing down volume, and the higher low here, right? The retest, it broke out, and I actually tightened my stop up. I didn't put my stop down here. I had it right here under 30, so I was only risking $1 a share. And when I got stopped out, I just got out. No questions asked. So I'm flat on lift, but I like what I see here. If the market does continue to make another leg back up, I think this one can run. I like the fact that it tapped out, took out this tail, not this one. Okay, there's your real hard line in the sand, about $25 a share. This one came down. It's buyable here tomorrow, Monday, in the high 27s with a stop under the 25 area, in my opinion. Okay, so that's what I'm looking to do on Lyft. Uber, its sister stock here, showing a little bit more relative strength. All right, and I like the engulfing green bar. This is buyable around $34.50 a share. Okay, where it closed on Friday, stop under the low here or under this tail here if you want to give it a little bit more space. But it looks like it's trying to go higher. You got a nice retracement off this high. Uber and Lyft, I think, are in the buy areas. Keep an eye on these. I'm going to definitely be considering them this coming week. All right, let's talk about some of the cheapies real quick. Genesis, beautiful, right? Here's the line. If you go back a few of my videos, I was telling people buying it here in the low fours is a very handsome proposition. I loaded up. It's looking good. My first target here is around $6 a share. You can see right here it topped out at $6.10 back in June, July of this year. I think it's going to go. I think it's going to blast past this $6.10. I think this is inevitable. This thing has got so much steam is building up here. It's thin though, okay? So be careful about buying a ton of shares. Almost said something else, okay? Because you can get trapped in something like this. The other cheap stock I'm going to talk about, window here, is even thinner than this. But you can see on Friday it's at 150,000 shares. They're securing more contracts for their goods. This thing really looks like it wants to go higher. But again, as I mentioned in my tweets and in previous videos, I guarantee you I will be selling part of my position in the high fives. It's almost there. It hit 580. Okay, I had some offered out at 585. I pulled it down. It didn't quite hit it, but I think anywhere in the $5.80 to $6 range, take some profits if you got in when I did. In fact, I actually owned it back here too. I've owned it for a while and been trading in and out of this thing. But right now this thing is looking like it wants to go higher. So that's my plan on this. You obviously manage it the way you want to. Right now is not a buyable situation. There's no setup here to buy. So if you're not in this, please don't buy it now. I'm looking to actually sell part of my position here, right in the high fives. If it opens up, gaps up past 6, I may consider holding all of it instead. If it breaks past that resistance area, it could run kind of like a measured move concept, an equal move. I mean, you're looking here at about a $4 move, and I'm thinking $4 off the 4. I think if I extrapolate this, I'm looking at $8 a share. So if this thing gaps up, say past 650, starts going, I may hold all my shares and try to squeeze out around 7, the high 7s, low 8s on my lot. But then if we get that kind of extension, I'll probably be selling half my position. Okay. So just kind of what's going through my head, sharing it with you guys. Those of you guys who are in it, congratulations. Ride this with me. And again, we may wake up tomorrow and this thing could be at $1 a share. I can't tell you. I can guarantee anything. That's part of the game, right? I don't think it's going to happen. Like I said, I'm sitting on this. I'm sitting solid on it. I think this thing's going higher. And congrats for you guys that rode this with me and are riding it with me. And you have my game plan. Window. Cheap, look, 17,000 shares on Friday, so it's real thin, guys. But this candle here tells me that this is going to hold this area and go higher. Now, it may not. Again, this is another one. It could open up at 0. I like the way it's holding here. Potential re-add to the position if it breaks above about 380 a share here as it makes this higher low. But again, it's thin. Say you bought 10,000 shares of this thing, right? You're doing more than half the volume from Friday. So be aware. I mean, it's a cheap stock, and you could probably load up on this, but I strongly suggest you do not, okay? Do not load up on this because you get trapped on this thing, and then you can't get out of it. And it's spready, and you can really get trapped. So be careful, all right? But this thing looks higher. initiate whatever size position on the long side. I'm in it long. I think it looks great. OIIM. This is one I suggested in the last video for the first time. Broke out, holding nicely, trying to go. It's also very thin. Look, 41,000 shares on Friday. Looks higher, my friends. Flag, right? Flag shake, popping. I think extrapolating beyond the $4 mark, this thing could go higher. You're looking at $1, $2, $3 move off the 250, puts you at $5 ish, $5.50 a share. That's what I'm looking at for the OIIM. And again, smaller share sizes is my suggestion due to the lack of volume here that it trades. All right, now let's get to the meat and potatoes. I've got a lot of great ideas in my opinion here. Okay, these are top ideas. Google, I like long. I love this retracement off the weekly chart. It's got a big topping tail. I don't know. It depends on what the market does. I mean, my target on this thing would not be this high because of the way it's come down here so precipitously. But I think the fact that it's taken out this support area, is sitting here on the daily 200. I mean, you got a nice hard stop there at about $1,400 a share, maybe a little bit low. Okay, so your entry is about $14.50. Your stop's under 14. So you're risking about $50 to $60 a share. All right, and you're looking for about $200 move. 14.50, 100, 216.50 area would be my target. All right, so around a 4-to-1 reward to risk. You're going to have to be in this for a while. And remember, you've got obviously a big retracement to a rising support area in between these moving averages, a buy area. You got support to the left. You broke a support area to the left that was higher that shook some people off the tree. I guarantee you there are some people scared here that were bailing. You see the volume pick up. But it's stabilizing. And I think if the market can get foothold and go higher, this thing revisits 1550 at least. And like I said, I'd be targeting 1650. So Goog, put this on your long list. It's on mine. I talked about the airlines turning around, and I was leaning short on these things, but a couple of videos ago, I said, hey, I'm now leaning more long. Well, I think we got an opportunity on Delta. The two I'm watching, the two strongest in my opinion, are Delta and Southwest. So Delta here has come down, bottoming tailed out, popped up, technically buyable on Friday. I'm not in this. I didn't get in on it yet. But I'm watching this for this bottoming tail, shake out of these pivots, held this support area here. You're looking at buying at around 30 and your stop's around 26, just underneath this low. Or if you're going off a weekly chart, probably around $24 a share. Delta, I think, is buyable in the $30 area, so watch it. Good old love. Same, you'll notice if you go to all the airlines and visit them all, they all have the same pattern where they kind of broke out, topped out, then came pulling back. Took out the support area here with this bottoming tail day on Thursday. Friday, green bar, upper range. I like what I'm seeing. 37.60-ish entry, 35-ish stop. I think this looks higher love. So those are my two airline stocks I'm focused on and looking to take a shot at here in the next week if they set up, and of course if the market doesn't fall to pieces. SurveyMonkey. This one is a new one. I came up on my scans. I like what I'm seeing here. It's holding up. Now it's tornadic action here. You can see the higher highs and the lower lows. And now consolidation within that tornado, and that's when it typically breaks. So $24 is your break point, I think, above this. So above 24, I'd consider this long. I like the way it's holding the support area. Now, if you want to front run this, I like the volume here. You can just enter it Monday if it's at the 2250 range. Get in there. Your stop's at $21 a share. Okay, I may front run. What I'll do is I'll buy a third of a position here and then buy the other 2/3 of the position when it breaks my real entry at 24, and then my average cost is lower because I'm front running on the first third. And if I get stopped down on the first third, I'm losing less, okay, of my allotted per stop per trade situation. But I'm taking a bigger risk because I'm really not getting the signal, right? So that's another concept that I try to do is enter in pieces. I know a lot of people exit in pieces. You know, you take in thirds, halves, profits, whatever. Entering in pieces is also a viable thing that I do on a regular basis. If I want to front run, if I get a spider sense tingling about something that's going higher, this is one that I think is going to go higher. So possibly front run a third here. They're around 2250 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it sets up. Then the second third, 2/3, or a third at $24 a share on the break off the tornadic formation consolidation after. All right, Vanguard Real Estate, another one here. It's kind of basing, and it's actually setting up on the weekly chart more of a shorting setup. But on the daily chart here, you've got, again, higher highs, okay? You got lower low here, one higher low, and now a lower low. So it's a big megaphone. and you look to the left here, you've got pretty solid support at $75 a share. You got a massive engulfing candle. Now, that again, that's not exactly something to party about, because what did the market do on Friday on this day to happen? I mean, the market was ripping right toward the end of the day. I mean, it just completely blew up to the top side. So not as awe-inspiring that you get a nice big green candle, but nonetheless, it looks good. All right, so $78 entry. You've got a really nice hard stop at 75. At break 75, I would be out of this thing. Consider VNQ to the long side. I am. All right, last one here on the stocks. Teradyne, I like this long. Look at the pullback here on the weekly. Rising moving average in the zone between the moving average. You've got green bars. You've got a consolidation here of probably a couple weeks, pretty much the whole month of well, not the whole month of September, but Labor Day on. So you're buying around $79 a share. You're stopping around $73 a share. You got the setup. You got a big volume pickup here. So you can see this go. Now, again, this could just be a minor pivot short to the downside if it falls apart. Again, it depends on what the market's doing. Looks like the market wants to recover and come back up and push up back to those new highs to me. But that it may be wrong. If it starts to collapse, something like this may be a great short opportunity. In fact, some of these long ideas may be great short opportunities if things turn around, okay? So you got to be fluid, you got to be dynamic, and you got to be watching these things. But I'm just telling you, as of now, Sunday, the 27th of September, what my sentiment is on these and where I'm leaning toward doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, this next week, and the week after, okay? Let's talk about gold. Gold's been getting smacked. Now, I've been a strong proponent of gold, holding gold positions for a long time, and as I mentioned, been just making a killing on these stocks. But for the first time in this entire run over the last year or so, I'm completely out of all my gold positions. I got stopped out and took profits, and now I'm waiting for the double tap. What I want to see here on the GLD. Now, technically, you could buy this over 176, and I may start nibbling, but I think we're going to get one more push. I like the GLD at 170 better. Right here, the support area. I want to see it. What I want to see it do is pop up to 178 and then get slammed back down to 170, and then I'll be sitting in there buying at 170 with a setup. With a setup, not blindly, with a setup. GDX, same thing. We got our first pivots taken out. Again, that's why I took my profits. And again, just sitting flat, get back in, just push a button on Monday if you want to, right? I like this green bar. But again, I think we're going to get one more tap, the double tap situation to the downside. Support area more here around 30. I'd love to see GDX come down about 35, 36, and I may start re-entering. I think long term, these goldies are going higher. But as of now, I think we're going to get one more big shake. This SLV got a big shake. Now, this is one actually I did not own. I did not own through this at all, but I'm adding it now to my watch list. I like the pullback to the rising moving average. You got a pretty significant move down that's hard for a lot of people to stomach. So I think it's shaking people off the tree. Watch it for stabilization here in the low 20s, 21, 22 for a possible entry. One of my faves I made a ton of money on is this Franco-Nevada over the last several months. And I like the shake here. Shook out underneath here, bottoming tail, green bar. Again, same sort of concept. Though I'd rather see it more at the 130 area. Maybe give me another $8 discount on this thing to the rising 200, and I'd be more of a buyer of Franco-Nevada. Wheaton Precious Metals, another one I've been riding, and again, flat on this, beautiful. Shake out below this pivot. Watch it set up. I'd like to see it pop back up and come down one more time. Give me around $45, $44 a share. But again, so my approach may be if things start looking really good, I may nibble, buy a quarter of a position, a third of a position if WPM breaks the 50 area, and then look to add to it. And if not, if it goes back up, a lot of times when these trends continue, it'll go back up to the high 50s, 55, 56, 57, base out, and then I'll buy the next piece as it breaks out over 60. So you can't be afraid to buy at higher prices if the patterns are setting up and the trend is in a certain direction. You can't, browbeat yourself over the fact that, crap, I should have bought, instead of a third of a position or a quarter of a position, I should have bought a full position. You got to follow your plan. And for me, I like legging into things when I'm trying to buy and front run patterns on higher time frames, if that makes sense. Okay. If this stuff doesn't make sense to you, again, I encourage you guys to watch my 10 videos. Which is kind of like the soup to nuts with regards to breakouts of different patterns, trade management, psychology, all on my page, and it's in a playlist. So check that out. And before I leave you today, let's look at the cryptos real quick. Bitcoin, let's just look at Bitcoin actually. Bitcoin here, again, and if you go to my tweets, if you go to my, I did a video on the cryptos. This is holding up here nicely. Like I said, I added to my position at 10,000 a share. It's tried to come down here again and retest it. It couldn't breach it. This is a hard support area now to me. Okay, now the entry on this thing, well, if you're looking at this, it's a pretty wide and loose flag. So I kind of want to see this get back up here. I'm already in this thing long, okay? So I'm not going to add to my position until I get a legit pattern. There's no legging in for me here. What I'd like to see this thing do is come back up to 12,000, base out, and then I think buy it for the run to 19, 20,000, okay? Bitcoin, I think, is definitely one to watch. I think it's higher. I think it's setting in a nice support area here at around 9.8. Okay, so if you get another dip down to this area, the low 10s, 10.2 was what I mentioned on my video and when I drew the lines on my crypto video. 10.2 is a great add point. I may actually add to my position if it gets down there. I'm not going to pay 10.7 for it. Right now I'm seeing it's printing 10.724 as of right now. So Bitcoin is definitely worth watching. And again, I talk about that as a diversification tool. I strongly suggest you don't go nuts on this and put all your wealth or investable money in this because it is risky, but the payoff can be huge. And I think down the road, philosophically thinking, I think this Bitcoin is going to go a lot higher with regards to everything that's going on in the world. I think it's inevitable. But no one has a crystal ball, including myself. I have no idea. It could be worth nothing in 2 years. Who knows? All right. So part of your wealth should be tied to this. I know, a lot of people throw around 5%, 3%. Okay. So again, talk to your own wealth advisors or your own financial advisors to make your best decision. But I think from a diversification perspective, everybody's got to get some Bitcoin. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Have a great week trading. Keep it together. Follow your plan. Take your stops if they get hit. Reverse your positions if you need to. A lot of these ideas I gave you, I may short them if the situation comes up, if things start to collapse here, which we very well could. But right now, you know where I'm leaning. So trade well, trade hard, trade easy, actually. Let it flow for you. Flow of the market. And we'll talk to you in the next video. Have a good one.